Hey guys, welcome to Cards and Sharps. How y'all doing? Good, glad to hear it. Alright, well, we are experiencing a very strong winter here in Oklahoma at the moment. Got up this morning to single digits, and they're talking some big snow in the next day or so, and we've had ice this week, a little bit of snow, and have not been above freezing all week, so unseasonably cold weather here, so this is a good time to stay inside and play with some knives and show them to you guys, and let's see what we all think about them. Alright, as you can see here, we're starting it off with a SOG, SOG, and it's going to be the SOG Twitch II, and this one is the moss green, I believe they call it, but it's a green knife. Seen this at a knife show, and thought I'd pick one up and have a look at it, and because just seeing and handling the display there, I thought it felt like a good size EDC type knife, and had some unique features to it that made it a little bit interesting. So let's have a look. I have not done, I don't think I've actually reviewed any SOG knives on here to this point. I've pretty much just kind of stayed away from them. Kind of view those in kind of the same vein that I do Gerber. They do make some pretty good stuff, and they're kind of more of a tactical type, designs and things like that. But you see a lot of their products at Walmart, and so I kind of had the taste like, it's kind of like the Gerber thing. They've kind of sold out to be able to be on the shelves at Walmart, so they're kind of cheaper, and the things I looked at Walmart was cheaper. And then this is not one I've ever seen at Walmart, so I did know that they do make some items, and the same as Gerber makes some stuff that are non-Walmart, where Gerber, I've liked some of their designs, felt like they execute poorly. I decided to take a look at SOG. I've had the SOG hatchets and things like that, and I think utility shovel and things like that, but have not tried one of their knives yet. So I thought, well, here we go. We'll take a look, and it looks like it has a lot going for it. First, let's go over some of the stats. Overall length is 6.2. Blade length is 2.65, so this will work for you folks in a 3-inch limit. Blade thickness is 0.10, so not a real thick stock, but not too thin either. The blade steel is AUS-8, which is not in the premium category, but it's not a bad steel. Those of you familiar with the rats, the standard ones come in AUS-8, and that's what this one is. And I've had good service from it, so I'm not scared of AUS-8 at all. Don't know that I'd even pay a few bucks more to, for the D2 upgrade when I've had D2 knives. I got AUS-8 knives, and they seem to be compatible in durability. So nothing wrong with AUS-8, and if you're trying to stay in the lower price points. Got a drop point blade, flat grind, satin finish, and the handle length is 3.55, so it's a little little more economical sized handle compared to what I usually will carry. About, I try to, for the size of my hand, stay around 4 inches, but I am not opposed to different if the design is good and it fits well, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. Handle material, they call it FRN. It feels real smooth, not like the FRN like say on the Delica here with a lot of texturing. So it just first look, you think, you're not sure if it's aluminum because it has a very slick, smooth feel to it, or just some other kind of plastic. But it does have a nice feel to it, and so not, even though it's FRN, not G10 or anything, it does not feel cheap. So not bad. It's going to be tip-up carry only, which is good. And they say it's spring assisted, and we'll kind of go into more of some of those features here in a minute. And as I said, this is the Twitch II, which would lead me to believe there at some point there was a Twitch I. But I'm new with the Twitch. Heard of them, have never owned one or carried one. And these are put out by SOG, which is based in Seattle. But according to the box, made in Taiwan, which works for me. There is some good products that come out of Taiwan, and also will work for those of you that have an aversion to buying from China. So not too bad there. And all right, let's get into some of these some of the features that are a little different. This is they say assisted opening, and it has that assisted opening, sort of like the feel like a Kershaw does, and it will pop open there. What I have found with this one, don't know if it is particular this one, if it needs break-in or what, but you can see what happens here. If you just flick it, the flipper, it's kind of iffy on whether it will fully deploy. As you can see, it's done about once every few times. Now, just a little, I have found just a little wrist flick. Well, trying to stay on camera and doing it, but there you go. Little wrist flick, and it will deploy. Not, normally. I don't think that is designed. I feel a little drag. It's got this lockback system, and it's got a little drag just right about there. You can feel a little rough where it's making contact with the blade there, and it just before it locks up, you feel a little drag, like there's maybe a little burr or roughness in there that right along in there, and that is keeping it from fully deploying, because that's where it's hitting right there when you flip it. And I don't know if that's common with this knife or if it is, because I know the one that I didn't look at the one that I handled the display that closely. I do know that it came up short on deployment a couple of times, but it seemed like it was working better than this one, and it definitely may have to get in there with a Dremel and clean that up to get that to deploy like it should, or like I think it should. Now it also has these thumb studs, so it's dual deploy, and that's what they advertise. You got the flipper and you got the thumb studs. Now with the thumb studs, you get good positive deployment every time. And you're working with that, usually on these spring assisted, you get a little kind of hard at first, and then it pops. It takes over for you and pops it out there. You get a little bit of that here, and it's just more of a technique at the right angle to hit the studs to pop it right out. But you can see it pops right open, fully deploys with the thumbs. It's like you get a little more momentum going there with it. It's not a real heavy blade, so you don't have the weight of the blade when you're pushing that flipper, but that is kind of annoying to me that you're not getting consistent deployment with using the flipper. And I like a good flipper knife, but I like one that has good action, that works and will deploy as a flipper without, I do not want to have to flick my wrist to make it deploy. Now, thumb studs works great. Again, I don't know if that is their design or what. I'm going to call that a kind of a fail. I'll play with it, see if it'll just naturally wear away whatever is causing the drag, and hopefully that works, but we'll see. But another thing, so I mean, design, it looks good. It's a nice looking knife, feels good in the hand, even though you don't have any excess handle sticking out there. You do feel like you have a good purchase on it. No real hot spots or anything. The flipper kind of serves as a guard so you don't slide up. No jumping on the back, but you do kind of have this little bit of a ramp area here, and you can see it's kind of works where your thumb fits in there pretty well. So you feel like you get a good purchase on it, especially for the type of work you'd be doing with a knife like this. This would be like a good EDC size knife. Not a lot of pocket space or anything like that. The weight is only 2.6 ounces, so it's a very light knife. And the thickness is, see if I can find here what the thickness is. Not seeing that listed in the specs, but it's a relatively thin knife, as say, compared to the Rat. It appears to be thinner, quite a bit thinner than that actually, and around the same as the Delica. Maybe it's a little thinner than Delica even. So you got nice size for in the pocket, and it's got this lockback system that is a little different looking. I mean, it doesn't protrude up like say your typical lockbacks normally do, and it's got another little doohickey here that slides back and forth, and that is a mechanism that when it's slid forward you can't unlock it, so it's kind of a double locking system. I don't know if the idea is that if you're were to grip it something like this, that the knife is not going to unlock on you. It does not seem to be in a place that your grip is going to accidentally unlock it, but that does serve as an extra lock, and it also serves as a safety. When you engage that, it will not open. I guess that would be if, you know, the possibility if you had it in your pocket and you was to hit something against the flipper, it could cause it to deploy the knife in your pocket or something like that. Not something I've really had an issue with any of the flipper knives, but you know, Kershaw I know has a couple of knives that has a extra locking mechanism for that as well. Maybe since they're assisted opening, they're, you know, you're not just going to partially open it. It's a possibility you could fully engage it. Though with this knife, you're not going to fully engage it. Not that it would fully engage in your pocket, but yeah, this one, engagement by flipper is a iffy process. Excuse me. So probably not something I would even bother with using. It would go into the unlocked position and stay there. But it is something a little different. I like the lockback feature. I prefer that over a liner lock or even a frame lock in a lot of cases, depending on how well they work. Different knives, those features can be painful or not work real well, but this one I do like a lockback fine. It doesn't drop shut, so it's not really one that you're going to excuse me, operate one-handed very well, because with a lockback like that, it's kind of hard to disengage the lock and with same hand push the blade down. So if being able to operate one-handed is a big deal to you, then that might not be one that you would care for. But I think, as far as everyday carry, it's a good size, good enough blade quality for EDC, and it locks up very solid. Feels very secure, and I think it's going to do things you're going to do with EDC knife. I'm going to cut cardboard. You can see it goes right through the cardboard real well. This is not a knife that, would be the one I'd grab and take to the woods or anything, but it would come in, it'd be a good pocket knife to have with you. I mean, you could do pretty much anything your everyday needs call for. It just depends on if you like it. There's a lot I like about this knife, just in what I've seen and messed with it to this point. Just looked at it and played with it a little bit before just to familiarize myself with it before I did this. So you're kind of getting some of my first impressions. Like I said, I'm kind of disappointed in the deployment of it, but this knife falls in that about $45 range, so it's not a high-end knife. And it's a little above what you'd call budget. It's kind of that medium, affordable knife range, but not a bank breaker. So not looking for a lot of bells and whistles, but when I do spend get in that range, I'm hoping to get something that I'm going to get in a CRKT or a Kershaw, and you're even getting in that price range where you find your better Civivi type knives, which you typically will get good quality, good consistency, and all that with those. And so I'd be looking. That's who they're going to be competing with, and that's what I would be comparing to. Just to get idea of scale here, let's just put it next to our other well-known knives. You got the Rat 2. As you can see, it's and the Rat 2 is not a huge knife, and it's smaller than it, and it's also quite a bit smaller than the Delica. Might be more in the range of Mini Griptilian. It's even smaller than it, actually. And actually it's going to take up quite a bit less pocket space as well than any of these. So, just a lot of things about it makes me really want to try this out in my pocket. I'm not, unless I can fix that deployment. I mean, I can use the thumb studs, but it's a flipper knife. I want to use the flipper. So if I can clean that up a little bit and get it to where I can it consistently will deploy with the flipper, then I will give this a carry and see what I think. It fits right in that wheelhouse of what I do like to carry. Alright guys, that is the SOG. This really doesn't make me want to go out and grab all the SOG items on the off the shelf or anything like that. You know, I'm going to say I just happen to get one that needs a little bit of help versus what they intended to put out, and that might speak to the consistency of their quality. You know, I don't know, do they not try them out before they send them out of the factory? Unless they just out of habit are flipping, doing the wrist action with it. Like I said, it works fine if you just throw a little wrist in there, but not something I feel like I should have to do with a flipper. Really want to like this knife. I like the design and for the most part the operation and all that. Just a little bit of care. I mean, seems to be pretty well put together. You know, no sharp edges or anything like that. The scales have a good trim, good finish on them. The blade is just a hair off, but shouldn't be enough to affect anything, and we can just get past that little bit of deployment issues, and then be honest, just in the playing with it, doing this, I did drop a little oil in there, and it does seem to have improved a little, because when I first took it out of the box, it would not deploy like that at all. So maybe it's just something that'll a little break in and it'll do, because I mean, it's got the potential to be a nice fidget knife. Sit there, watch TV and fidget with your knife. So we'll see. Maybe a little bit of wear and that'll fix that issue right up. Alright guys, that is the SOG Twitch II. Love to hear from you guys. Anybody else had this? Similar issues? Did I get a bad one? Or does it just require some break-in? I know some knives do. So I'd like to hear what you guys think. Give me a like and subscribe if you found this least bit entertaining, informational, or anything like that. And we will see you guys next time.